We are not letting this bike out of our hands until we get an updated 40 to 80 for you guys. Not gonna lie to you guys, I'm a little terrified of this. This is against the angel on my shoulder and is on the side of the devil on. On your mark, get set. The 2024 Buell Hammerhead 1190 impressed us on our first ride, and you guys too, apparently, if you look at all the views that are coming in from the content we're making on this bike. But in a street environment, this bike was begging to be explored, and that's just not an area we could do that. Hell, the 40 to 80 pull time was slower than a 2022 BMW GS. So after that, we figured we must have had something wrong with the bike that I messed up. Today, we're looking to solve that problem. So we're out here at Atlanta Motorsports Park to take this American superbike on a track and see what it is actually capable of. You guys stick around and let's find out if the hype for this American muscle bike is actually true. Let's get into it. Track review. Alrighty guys, it is 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The track is finally shut down. Christian and I have been riding the Buell around track all day, and now we are going to get this thing on the track, and I'm going to talk with you guys all about this thing. And now guys, we found out earlier when we got here that because of some insurance that AMP has, we are not able to ride on track with anything attached to our helmets. So Christian and I, what we decided to do was we were just going to ride the bike all day, get all of this information on it that we need, and then record it. So me and Christian were out on track with the MT10. He was acting as my camera bike. So I'm going to be telling you guys about my experience on the Buell today around AMP in this little MotoVlog recap style. Trust me, I would have loved to give you guys some POV helmet footage, but we aren't able to do that, unfortunately. All right, so first topic I want to hit on is the power delivery on the Buell. So V-twin, very powerful, I believe 180 horsepower. Shockingly, I got on a call with Buell after they watched my first ride, and they were like, dude, that bike is capable of going so much faster. So what I realized is the power delivery on the Buell Hammerhead is massively important when it comes to power delivery of the bike. So today, my first ride, I'll start with that. I did my first ride in traction control level 7, and I thought the power came on really smooth, really nice, really powerful, but I could tell the bike had more in it. So today I did my first laps in traction control 7, and then I went to 3, and then I ended the day in 1. And I gotta say, this V-twin this bike is just strange, man. When you're on a twin style engine, typically it will rev a little and you get most of the power, and it kind of dies off some. But the way they've built this Hammerhead is it redlines at what, 11.5? This bike carries power all the way through the rev range up to 11.5, and like at which case you then shift. But it's fascinating to feel that type of twin torquey power just take you all the way through the rev range. I will say the power is very controllable, and at no point in the rev range was the power did it come on way more than any other spot. I felt like it was really linear power, which makes the bike incredibly easy to ride because it doesn't surprise you. It's just that constant flow of power to you. I was talking to Pat about it, and I was like, it feels like a river of power, and it's just coming and coming and coming. And you think it's gonna stop at some point, and it really never does. So the power delivery is strong, it's consistent, and it's very easily controllable. know a lot of you guys are interested in what the new 40 to 80 pull is going to be on this bike. We are going to, later on in this video, we're going to go to the front straight, and we are going to do a brand new 40 to 80 pull. They kind of let the Buell redeem itself. But next thing I want to talk about is the stability and how nimble this bike is. So one of the super interesting things about Buells in the past and on this bike is the gas tank is not right here. The gas tank is actually in the frame. And earlier, I did a run on the Buell, and then I realized we hadn't checked the gas. So we filled the bike up with gas. And the next session I went out on, it was very apparent that the bike's weight had actually shifted. And I believe, I'm assuming that's because of the nature of the gas tank being in the actual frame. So throughout the day, I didn't notice it, but going from a low tank to a full tank, it was very obvious the body position, or the weight of the motorcycle had shifted, and that was really fascinating to experience. Next thing I want to talk about is how nimble this bike is. I believe it's 420 pounds, but I'm not even getting into the science. I don't know what it is about this bike that makes it so nimble, but I have noticed that this bike is so easy to just throw over and navigate a turn. I was kind of surprised, honestly, because I thought a sporty bike would be a little harder to move around, especially in 1190, but the bike is just incredibly complacent at just throwing over in a turn. Somebody at Buell would have to give you guys the science information of why that's a thing, but I have been really impressed with it. And another thing that's kind of surprised me today has been how quick I can get this comfortable on a bike. So like I said, me and Christian were out kind of riding together here at AMP this morning. He was on the MT10 recording me with our cameras, and one of the first things he said to me was, "You seem so comfortable on that bike." And the only riding I've done on this bike is the first ride, the little, so I probably had like 3 or 4 hours worth of riding in on it. And I was like, really? That's interesting, because when I'm riding this bike, I almost just feel at home with it and how it's responding to things. And I just felt super comfortable getting relatively quick on it relatively quickly. I got quick on it quickly. So I don't know what that means about the bike. Just, it's very easy to ride. Granted, I haven't ridden it with traction control off yet, but I was really surprised with that. I'm gonna be 100% with you guys. When Buell was like, you need to turn the traction control down to 1 or off, I was like, I'm terrified to do that. I don't really want to do that. But then when I put it in 1, and I'm like, wow, that much, I don't know, man. It's just awesome to have such a powerful motorcycle that is still easily rideable. Most of the time, those two characteristics do not go well together. So the next thing I can hit on is the braking. Now, this is something I was a little worried about when I came into this track. As you guys have seen, the Buell has a single front rotor, so it only has the brakes on the one side, and Buell's got that really cool perimeter brake disc, but it's a big ass brake caliper up there. So that was like, I was like, is that gonna be enough to slow me down if I'm really getting on it? Especially with AMP, you have that long front straight, and then it's a really hard left-hand turn. So you have to really get on the brakes. And I have tested it coming into that front turn very quickly and hammering on the brakes, and it is coming to a stop very fine. I will say AMP is a bit of a smaller track, so there's nowhere to really get a really high speed. I think my top speed ended up being about 125 to 130 on the straight, at which point I needed to start slowing down. So coming to, you know, an essential stop from that speed, it's been fantastic. Now, how would the brakes do on a bigger track? I can't really say, I don't really know. But on this track, the brakes have been absolutely fantastic. Now, another thing I want to talk about that I've noticed that has gotten my hand kind of tired today is the throttle. So when you're on the throttle on this bike, I feel like the throttle has a really long throw, meaning I have to rotate it a lot to be getting all of the power out. And the throttle is also really heavy, so it takes a lot of energy to rotate the throttle. And I've noticed towards the middle to the end of the day, my right hand started getting really tired because I would be trying to throttle keep throttling the bike, and my hand just gets exhausted from rotating. So if I was to give, you know, a criticism or something to work on for Buell, I would say let's shorten the throw on that throttle to help me get to that, you know, full power easier and give my hand a little break. That's just one of the little nitpicky things. I mean, the bike has so much power, I just want to get to it faster. The negative to that is having a longer throttle lets you fine-tune your usage of it. So I don't know if I'd want to sacrifice that for the ease of use of it, but that's something I have noticed today. So next thing we got to hit on is the suspension on this bike. As you guys can see, we've got adjustable Showa suspension, and I have not adjusted it at all from the first ride that I did. And I gotta tell you, this bike feels so nice, really pushing it. I think that's one of the things that makes it so easy and confidence inspiring to ride, is when you get this bike into a turn, especially this back big turn, bro, the bike just gets locked. And I have felt way more comfortable than I have any right to, just fully leaning the bike over and sending it. So like I would come into this turn right here, scrape my knee a little bit, get set up. And once I got set up, dude, I'm locked for this long left-hand turn. Bike feels on rails. The suspension is so nice. And that's not even adjusted for my weight. So absolutely fantastic. So as far as the controls go, hasn't been anything crazy to really talk about other than that throttling situation that I mentioned earlier. Grips feel good. I haven't really used a lot of the buttons. Speaking of the buttons though, one of the really cool things that this bike can do that I didn't realize that Buell let me know was there is actually a lap timer built into the bike. So as you guys might be able to see on my screen right there in the bottom, it says lap timer. You can split the time. This bike is basically made to go to the track with. So if I flick my high beam, you guys can see I'm doing a lap now. So boom, there it is, 10 seconds. So every time you cross the finish line, you can literally hit that and it'll tell you your split time. Really neat feature if you're somebody that's going to the track a lot. And it's neat that it's just built into the bike and it's very easy to use. So that's a really neat feature that I appreciate Buell putting on this, because like it's such a good track bike, or at least in my experience today. Oh, speaking of that, Buell did confirm for me there is no rear cylinder deactivation. I don't remember what it was about how they do their throttling and stuff, but it does not rear cylinder deactivate. Just note. So guys, final thing we'll talk about is comfort on this bike. And I know a super sport that we're going to talk about comfort in, But surprisingly, I thought this bike was totally fine on the street, but the body position you're in on this Buell, it makes it so easy to get off the bike. And when you're on the bike like this, the seat is actually really comfortable. I've been very surprised with that. Love the body position for track use. And the final thing I want to mention is that this model does not come with a quick shifter, but if you are purchasing this bike, it is an optional extra, and I highly recommend you look into getting a quick shifter. It would have been so nice to have that today, so I definitely recommend you guys grabbing that if you're purchasing this bike. For safety, let's have you guys stay in the car, and we'll do this thing. We are not letting this bike out of our hands until we get an updated 40 to 80 for you guys, because that's the dedication that we have to this craft. Just as a note, I am in traction control 1. I should be able to get to 40 from there. I'm a little terrified of this, not gonna lie to you guys. I'm gonna try it in traction control 1, and then I will try it off depending on how it goes. So I guess this is technically sponsored by Law Tiger, so let's really find out how fast the Buell 1190 Hammerhead can go from 40 to 80 without having to deal with a cop. On your mark, get set. Woo! All right, we're gonna have to redo that. Did we bring a spare pair of pants, gentlemen? All right, attempt 1 fail. Gonna try that one more time. I mean, we'll try it as many times as we need to, if we're gonna be honest. 40 to 80, attempt 2. On your mark. I'm gonna lean up some. Get set. Go. That's 80. Woo-hoo! Should I do no traction control? The guys say yes. The guys say yes. So that was a pretty quick 40 to 80. So I feel like we should be okay. Let me get the traction control turned off against my better judgment. Okay, this is what Buell said to do. Buell was all like, you gotta do it with the traction control off. Alrighty, attempt number 3 at 40 to 80 pull on the Buell in first gear. This time, no traction control. On your mark, we're straight, get set, go. That's 80, holy shit! Okay. So, Chris, if we could get an official time for the 40 to 80 on the Buell. Alrighty, my friends, that is it for our Buell track review. As you can see, can confirm much faster than a 2022 BMW 1250 GS. Guys, this thing has been phenomenal to ride on the track today. God, I am so exhausted. Shout out to Ant for letting us have the track and use it as a member day. I'm so glad that I did this video because I thought this bike was cool. You guys thought it was cool riding it around on the street. But when you take a performance machine to an area where you can actually perform on it, everything starts making so much sense, and this has been absolutely awesome. Big shout out to Buell for letting us borrow the motorcycle. It has been awesome getting to ride an authentic American motorcycle around. I'm absolutely digging it. If you guys have any questions about this bike, leave them in the comments down below. We will get to as many of them as we possibly can. If you got to this point in the video, you're in the outro crew. Put OC in your comment after you like the video, and let us know what you guys think about doing track reviews. AMP has been super awesome to allow us to use their track, and it seems like we can do a lot more of them. So let us know in the comments down below. Do you guys want to see more track reviews from the channel? I'm Chaseontwowheels. You guys go out there and ride safe. I'm going to be on this thing, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later. It wouldn't be right if I didn't ride off in the Buell. So that's what's happening. Later, guys.